I know, it'll be so much fun. I already got 110 AR points, so I get to go.
I know, me too.
Yeah, I'm only 20 points away, and I'm reading 25 minutes each day before I hit the deadline.
Oh, when's the deadline?
It's May 6th, man.
Oh, good. I can still get my AR points, so I'm gonna go to that picnic.
Did you know 28 students have already hit 110 air points from Parkview?
That's awesome. May 6th, 110 AR points? Yeah, I can do that.
On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, come to the open gym from 3:30 to 5:30 is only $2. It'll be fun. Snacks will be sold.
Empathy is a choice, an opportunity to put yourself in someone else's situation, to view the world through the lens of someone else's circumstances.
Empathy is the ability to think about what someone else is going through, imagining yourself in that place. Empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another.
Empathy is being there for people who are your closest friends or someone you don't even know.
Empathy takes work, it takes practice. Empathy requires each one of us to stop thinking only of ourselves and to start thinking of others.
In our world, everybody has a need for empathy, whether it is great or small.
Every day, in every school, students are made fun of, outcasted, looked down upon, and made to feel worthless.
Life can be lonely at times. It's important to feel like someone has your back.
We judge people when we do not understand them.
People say sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you, as if that were true at all.
Empathy towards others encourages hope, encourages love, and encourages tolerance.
Respect people's feelings. Even if it doesn't mean anything to you, it could mean everything to them.
Empathy shows the people that are hurting that someone cares and that they are not alone.
Instead of putting others in their place, put yourself in their place.
No prescription works like empathy can.
We must step out of our comfort zone and be the reason someone smiles today.
Empathy is like a wildfire. A simple spark can ignite a chain reaction of compassion.
Empathy can change the world, starting with just one person, and that one person could be you.
Hablas español? Parlez-vous français? 你会说中文吗? If you answered sí, oui, or 会, and you're watching this in English, chances are you belong to the world's bilingual and multilingual majority. And besides having an easier time traveling or watching movies without subtitles, knowing 2 or more languages means that your brain may actually look and work differently than those of your monolingual friends. So, what does it really mean to know a language? Language ability is typically measured in 2 active parts, speaking and writing, and 2 passive parts, listening and reading. While a balanced bilingual has near equal abilities across the board in 2 languages, most bilinguals around the world know and use their languages in varying proportions. And depending on their situation and how they acquired each language, they can be classified into 3 general types. For example, let's take Gabriella, whose family immigrates to the US from Peru when she's 2 years old. As a compound bilingual, Gabriella develops 2 linguistic codes simultaneously with a single set of concepts, learning both English and Spanish as she begins to process the world around her. Her teenage brother, on the other hand, might be a coordinate bilingual, working with 2 sets of concepts, learning English in school while continuing to speak Spanish at home and with friends. Finally, Gabriella's parents are likely to be subordinate bilinguals, who learn a secondary language by filtering it through their primary language. Because all types of bilingual people can become fully proficient in a language, regardless of accent or pronunciation, the difference may not be apparent to a casual observer. But recent advances in brain imaging technology have given neurolinguists a glimpse into how specific aspects of language learning affect the bilingual brain. It's well known that the brain's left hemisphere is more dominant in analytical and logical processes, while the right hemisphere is more active in emotional and social ones, though this is a matter of degree, not an absolute split. The fact that language involves both types of functions, while lateralization develops gradually with age, has led to the critical period hypothesis. According to this theory, children learn languages more easily because the plasticity of their developing brains lets them use both hemispheres in language acquisition, while in most adults, language is lateralized to one hemisphere, usually the left. If this is true, learning a language in childhood may give you a more holistic grasp of its social and emotional contexts. Conversely, recent research showed that people who learned a second language in adulthood exhibit less emotional bias and a more rational approach when confronting problems in the second language than in their native one. But regardless of when you acquire additional languages, being multilingual gives your brain some remarkable advantages. Some of these are even visible, such as higher density of the gray matter that contains most of your brain's neurons and synapses, and more activity in certain regions when engaging a second language. The heightened workout a bilingual brain receives throughout its life can also help delay the onset of diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia by as much as 5 years. The idea of major cognitive benefits to bilingualism may seem intuitive now, but it would have surprised earlier experts. Before the 1960s, bilingualism was considered a handicap that slowed a child's development by forcing them to spend too much energy distinguishing between languages, a view based largely on flawed studies. And while a more recent study did show that reaction times and errors increase for some bilingual students in cross-language tests, it also showed that the effort and attention needed to switch between languages triggered more activity in, and potentially strengthened, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that plays a large role in executive function, problem solving, switching between tasks, and focusing while filtering out irrelevant information. So, while bilingualism may not necessarily make you smarter, it does make your brain more healthy, complex, and actively engaged. And even if you didn't have the good fortune of learning a second language as a child, it's never too late to do yourself a favor and make the linguistic leap from hello to hola, bonjour, or ni haos, because when it comes to our brains, a little exercise can go a long way.
I need some help.
What's the matter?
With my math.
With your mouth?
No, it's my math. I have to do it. Will you help me?
Sure. Where do you live?
No, it's my math.
Yeah, I know it. Where do you live, though?
No, I want you to talk to me on the phone.
No, I can't do that. I can send someone else to help you.
Okay,
What kind of math do you have that you need help with?
I have takeaways.
Oh, you gotta do the takeaways?
Yeah.
Alright, what's the problem?
You have to help me with my math.
Okay. Tell me what the math is.
Okay, 16,
Yeah.
take away 8.
Uh-huh.
Is what?
You tell me, how much do you think it is?
I don't know, 1.
No. How old are you?
I'm only 4.
4?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's another problem? That was a tough one.